Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, this is the first day of a 10-day bundle experience. It's called the 2024 Vegan Health Bundle. We have over $8,000 worth of content if you were to buy it separately, offering it at a ridiculously low price of $49. It includes ebooks, courses, videos from some of your very favorite influencers, vegan chefs, plant-based doctors, you name it. And we're featuring as many of them as we can as possible during Bundle Week. So right now we have Raw Chef Yin. She has two amazing contributions in the bundle. One is called Asian Sweets and Treats, and another one on how to beautifully style your food. And it's interesting because my last show with Chef Mark Reinfeld, when I asked him what is he most interested in, he said, I'm interested in that course. So she makes some of the most unique, delicious, raw vegan food, especially desserts. Please welcome her back all the way from Malaysia. So nice to see you again.
Hi, Chef AJ, and hi, everyone. Great to be back on the show. I'm excited for the
Yeah,
Vegan Health Bundle.
you're so good at creating new stuff. It's like you're amazing. You and Lissa, you raw folks really are great at this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's because there's not that many raw vegan Asian recipes out there. So I'm like on this quest to make all my favorite raw Asian recipes, but the raw vegan way. So yeah.
I mean, it's just amazingly creative what you're able to do. And not only just make it vegan, but to make it raw and to make it oil free to boot. Because this is an oil-free bundle too, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, the oil-free bit, yeah, that required a bit more thinking and trying to figure out the substitutes and how to get, the textures right and all that. But yeah, it's a good challenge.
Yeah. So tell us about what you have in the bundle.
Okay. So this time I have two contributions in the bundle. The first one is my online course called Asian Sweets and Treats. That is a video course on how to make raw vegan Asian desserts from my country, Malaysia, as well as the surrounding countries. There is, let me check. There's also desserts on Thailand, India, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. And I think I've been to all these countries except for Japan, but I will be going to Japan end of this month. So yeah. And then there's also a recipe PDF booklet that goes together with all the video tutorials. So you'll be able to make it step by step. There's also colored there's also, yeah, pictures of the recipes as well, because I know some of you are not familiar with all the Asian desserts. So there's also full colored pictures that goes with the recipe. So that's the first one, my Asian Sweets and Treats. And then the second one, I called it Beautiful Vegan Food. And this is by popular request. I know Lisa was asking me if I could do, a course on food styling or how because she's very kind. She actually used to be a professional photographer, but she always tells me how she loves seeing my my food photos as well. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone because I'm used to creating recipes. But so I created a course on how to style your food, how to take, how to make your food look pretty in pictures. And I talk about things like I made it very simple because I have attended food styling and food photography courses myself, like 4 or 5 over the past few years. So I'm sharing what I have picked up. I don't call myself a professional food stylist or a professional food photographer, but I have made a lot of online courses, 27 online courses to be exact, and 6 ebooks. So I have always photographed my own food, so like even this book, these are all my photographs. So I talk about things like what backdrops I use, what cloths and linens that I use to give it textures and layers, the different components, the garnishes, maybe the cutlery as well. So yeah, so and that's pretty much in video form. So they're video tutorials. I also talk about the three angles that you people like to take their photographs from as well. So yeah, it's actually very good for a beginner. And for this course, for that, the fruit styling course, I'm just using a photo. I'm just using my iPhone to take photos. So you don't, sometimes I use a DSLR, but in this course, I just talk about just using phones because now everybody already, most people have a smartphone. The content creators would have a smartphone, so it's just like how to use your phone to just take photos that are good enough to be in, online courses or ebooks. Yeah, so those are my two contributions to the vegan health bundle.
That's fantastic. It's funny because when I think of Asian food, the dessert is not the first thing I think about. Like when I go out to dinner, like I don't think, oh, I'm going to go there
Yeah,
because they're known for their dessert. But I guess I'm not really all that familiar with what Asian desserts are. And the only country you mentioned that I've been to is Japan. And what I noticed there is the desserts seem to be heavily influenced by the French, like French pastry.
yeah,
And the other thing I noticed, which was great, is that they weren't sickly sweet like American desserts.
that's true. Yeah, the sweetness part is very true. I find that Asian desserts are not super sweet. Yeah, and yeah, in Japan also, yes, there's a lot of French pastries and all that. In my book though, I do what do I have? I think I have the Shibuya toast, which I guess the toast is also kind of like influenced by Western, but then after that they put in like ice cream and sauces on top and all that. So I show you how to make the nice cream. I show you how to make a raw vegan toast, and then all the sauces. And also there's also the kakigori, which is a shaved ice dessert as well. Yeah. So yeah, it was really, really fun making that, all the different kinds of desserts. Yeah.
So fun. It's so fun. And that's one thing I think where raw food can really excel is in desserts, because they look and taste just like dessert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and because it's so colorful, because we're using, yeah, we're making everything raw, so it you don't like cook it down and then the colors become dim and dull. You still retain the fresh colors of the fruit. So that's a lot of fun.
Nice. Are we going to show something today specifically?
Yes, so today I'm going to make a dessert from Thailand. And it is a dessert called Tub Tim Krob. And it's one of my favorite desserts actually, that every time I go to a Thai restaurant, I always order this. And most people might, some of you might know it as the red rubies dessert, because Tub Tim actually means red rubies, and then Krob means crunchy, or at least that's what I understand. Yeah. So the traditional dessert actually uses water chestnuts to make the red rubies. But I always thought it was very strange because the water chestnuts, you need to go through this whole process of cutting it into cubes, and then putting it into flour, and then making sure that the flour sticks to the cut water chestnuts, and then putting in, red coloring, and putting in some kind of sugar, and then boiling it until it becomes the crunchy red rubies. Whereas, and that dessert is, the crunchy red rubies are supposed to mimic pomegranate. So I was like, you know what? Like, even before I was raw, I loved eating it, but I always wondered, like, why do they make it in this manner instead of just using the pomegranate? So today we're just going to use the fresh pomegranate. So oh, and also one interesting thing about this dessert is that um CNN has a list of the world's 50 best desserts, and Tub Tim Krob was actually one of the desserts listed in that list, the top 50. So yeah, so I thought it would be a treat to show you how to make it, and it's also quite simple. So let me tell you what the ingredients are. The first one is homemade coconut milk. In Thai desserts, we always have coconut milk. So in my course, I actually show you how to make the fresh version using grated coconut, and blending it and then squeezing it out. But if you are not completely raw and you don't mind using, coconut from a can, you can use that as well. Coconut from, a packet, it's up to you. And then there's pandan leaf powder. So this is the pandan leaf powder. So in the traditional dessert, they actually boil it together with the coconut milk. But because we are um making this raw, I'm just using the powder and then just putting it together with the coconut milk. But I wanted to show you, okay, this is how the packaging for the pandan milk powder looks like. This is from my beauty. But I also walked down to the garden today, my condo garden. They actually have fresh pandan leaves itself. So in Asia, this is the fresh leaves that we actually use. And this is actually called well, it's kind of known as the vanilla of Southeast Asia, or even the vanilla of Thai desserts. It's used a lot in a lot of the Thai desserts. So yeah, this is the actual leaf just to show you. And
What
then
why is it does it what does it taste like? What flavor is
so
it?
so it's very fragrant. Well, you need to. It's kind of like sweetish and grassy and maybe a bit of pine. But I remember talking to one of the chefs in Penang, and he was telling me like the components, when you look at it chemically, the components in the pandan leaf, or pandan leaf, we call it pandan leaf, and vanilla is pretty similar. That's why he told me. That's why he says that, yeah, it's kind of known as the vanilla for Southeast Asia.
That, that's
Yeah.
so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Thai desserts, there's always a touch of salt as well, because it is Thai food, there's always like, salt, sweet, spicy, sour kind of thing. But I mean, for desserts it's basically sweet or salty or a bit of both. So I think there's a bit of salt just to balance it out. I mean, if you're salt free, you can always omit it, but I'm going to put it in because I wanted it to taste authentic. And then yeah, so I said I'm going to use like 3 tablespoons of pomegranate for that. And then we have jackfruit. Yeah, so remember, this is ripe jackfruit, fresh jackfruit, not the jackfruit in a can. So this is how the jackfruit pot looks like. And there's usually a seed inside, but I took out the seed already. So in my course, I actually show you how to de-seed it and how to cut it as well. The seed, if you're not raw, you can actually take the seed and cook it and boil it. It actually tastes like potato. So that's your zero waste cooking. So I've already cut out the jackfruit into like medium dice. Yeah. And then we also have 1 tablespoon of young coconut meat. So just cut it into strips. Okay. Yeah, if you buy like the coconut from the Asian markets, you can scoop it out and then you can cut it into strips. And then I have some crushed ice. I hope my ice is not melted yet. I do have some crushed ice. And then for the sweetener, so usually they put palm sugar in the Thai food, but this time I just wanted to keep it sugar free, so I'm using date powder. So this is just whole dates that have been dried on low heat and then ground up into powder. So this is also raw. Yeah. Okay. So let's start making it. What am I going to do? We'll take the coconut milk, and then we'll put in a bit of the pandan leaf powder. We'll put in the pandan leaf powder. And then we'll put in the salt, just a small pinch. I usually use Himalayan pink salt. Yeah. And then I'll whisk it up. I'm just making one portion, so it'll be quite small. So I'm just gonna just like,
That's cool to make a one portion dessert.
yeah, because there's only 2 of us here. So and I don't want this to be too high fat. So yeah. And then after that, what we're gonna do is, okay, this is not traditional. They usually serve it in a bowl, but I think if I put it in this glass, it looks so pretty. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to put some of the jackfruit in the glass. We're going to layer it. Yeah.
I love it, like a parfait.
Yeah, it's like a parfait. But so let me put most of this. Okay. And then we'll put the pomegranate.
Pomegranates aren't in season all year round, are they?
I'm not sure. We do get like local pomegranate here, and yeah, I've seen it most of the time though here in Malaysia. If we don't get the local ones, we get the ones from Turkey as well, and I seem to be able to get it all year round. But I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe we just living here. So I'm gonna add in the crushed ice now. So yeah, this dessert is supposed to be, because Thailand is we're in the tropical side, right? So it's quite hot. So this dessert is served chilled and Yeah, it's always served chilled with some crushed ice. All right. And then I'm going to put the coconut meat, the young coconut meat. All right. And then we'll pour in the mixture, the one with the coconut. And then, okay. And then after that, we're going to top it up again with the jackfruit. I mean, obviously, if you're making it a bowl, you can just put everything in. But because I'm serving it in this glass, I want it to look super pretty.
Do you have things like the 99-cent store or Dollar Tree in your country?
Okay, so we do. We have something called Daiso, which I think is actually
I
from Japan.
love Daiso. We have that here.
Yes,
The reason I'm saying is because, you know, glasses can be expensive, but you can find sometimes at stores like that really beautiful
yes,
glasses for parfaits and things.
yes. We have Daiso, and then we have another one called Mr. DIY. I mean, it's not $1, but it's, it's pretty um very budget friendly. So that's where I got this frother actually, also just from there. Yeah, I got a lot of my props from Daiso actually, like, my Chinese steamers and yeah, I remember getting quite. I used to visit Daiso every time I'm in the mall, and then after that, I was like, oh, I have to stop. If not, I just keep getting everything
I
from
know
there. But yes,
it's really a fun store.
it is. And let's think. Yeah, I know we have Daiso and Mr. DIY, and so yeah, you're right. You can get a lot of your glasses and all that from there. It's pretty very affordable.
That's what I.
Okay, okay, so there you go. This is quite pretty simple. It turned out a bit greener than I did previously. I'm not sure why, but wonder whether can you see it? So I don't want it to spill, but let me
That
just.
is so beautiful. The green I almost feel like it looks like kiwi.
So traditionally it's not that green because when they boil it together, I think the green doesn't come out, but this time my pandan leaf comes out. Maybe it's a new batch of pandan powder. But yeah, so you see the green, you see the yellow and the red rubies are there as well. These are the rubies. Don't know whether you can see it. Yeah, I can't tilt it too much because it's full, but yeah, that's your red rubies. So that's your Tub Tim Krob actually. Yeah, quite simple if if you have all the ingredients all prepped already, then you just easily put it together.
That is so cool. So give us some tips and tricks on your food styling course. Obviously, don't give the whole thing away, but there's just some like what is it dependent on having the right camera, the right lighting?
Okay, so I tend to just keep it simple. Okay, in terms of lighting, right? Yeah, lighting is very, very important. And I tend to keep it simple. I just take photos in natural light. So yeah, they usually just advise you to take it like, put your photography table maybe next to the window. And you can experiment with directions on where your light is coming from, whether it's coming from the left or whether it's coming from the right or whether it's coming from the top. So yeah, play around with that and see different yeah, where you I think for me I think it's a preference, yeah, from where you want the lights to come in. And then the other thing is, if you when you're taking the photo, just make sure you have one light source only. So the if you're doing natural light, so there's light coming from the window or from the door, make sure that you turn off all the lights in the rest of your house when you take the photo, because if not, the lights from the other light sources will seep in, and then it will interfere with the lighting from your photo. So that's one of the things. And then I think the other things that I was just talking about was like because I see some of the recipe creators, if they have a dish and they just take a photo of the dish and then that's it, there's nothing else. What I like to add in is, some kind of props. So I always have some kind of cloth to add in some movement. And then if you have, let's say, like I think I made, whose dish did I make? I'm trying to remember. Uh, okay, let's just say I made so I made Elspeth's mushroom bourguignon with creamy cauliflower mashed potatoes from her course. She has a French cooking class in the vegan health bundle. She has actually three classes in the vegan health bundle. I think she has French, Thai, and Indian. So anyway, let's say if you want to take a photo of that, you don't just want to take, just the plate or yeah, just that dish itself. So you try and put it on top of something so you have some kind of backdrop. Whether you want to put it on a wooden table or whether you want to put it on a backdrop that you bought. Because I have backdrops that, just like paper backdrops that you can actually buy. So you have different kinds of backdrops. So you put it on a backdrop and then you want to add some. I usually like add a spoon or some kind of cutlery to show that you're eating it, and then make sure you garnish it. Or maybe what you can do is take some of the ingredients that are in the dish and put it on the backdrop as well. So when you take the photos, it actually looks really pretty. I think and then I also make sure that you always have some kind of garnish on your dish so that it also like, that it gives you texture, it gives you layer, it tells stories, it has and it gives you some freshness as well. I think when it comes to like, yeah, the food and all that, the more layers and textures you have, the more interesting your photos will become.
Yeah, absolutely. Show us that book that you have behind you.
Is it this one or this one? I
Well,
have
actually, both,
two.
but the dessert one looks really
Oh yeah, so this is my desserts book, my raw vegan. Uh, so it's called Guilt-Free Desserts. The picture is actually a tiramisu. It's a so there's a raw tiramisu. There is a raw donuts, and this one is I think it's a granola bar. Yeah, so this is 50 raw vegan desserts. It's a book that I wrote I think in 2020. Yeah, in 2020. I was approached by the publisher to come up with a desserts book, and they were very specific. They wanted like, 50 raw desserts, and they divided it into yeah, that's my chocolate pie, so they wanted it to be like frozen desserts or some drinks or some decadent desserts, um some holiday desserts and all that. So I wrote that, and this was published in 2020. And then when it came out in November 2020, for that month it was on the bestsellers list of Kinokuniya bookstore in Malaysia. So that's the book that has been published, and it's still in the bookstores. It's at the bookstores in Malaysia, in popular bookstore. And then this is the other book that I self-published, which is Raw Vegan Delights. This is my very first book, yeah, that I made, which was on Asian foods, 21 healthy, delicious recipes from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Korea. Yeah. So it's all very Asian, like things that I've eaten in.
Yeah. Did you take any courses in photography?
I did. See, I've always liked taking photos, but I've never been very good at it. So I took one course. I think I took two courses in person in Malaysia. I took a course from Chris Dye. Yeah, he teamed up with another chef to yeah, like it's like a 3-hour workshop. So that was the course that I learned how to use all my manual settings on my camera. And then I also took another course, food styling course from one of the top food stylists in Malaysia, Trish. Yeah, yeah. On Instagram, she's known as Trish 8. I think she's Trish Ong or Trisha Ong. Yeah, so I took a course from her as well. And then yeah, I took like one or two online courses, but those online courses were not. I didn't really like those, so yeah, I didn't find those as helpful. But the ones that I took in Malaysia, the in-person ones, those were pretty good as well. Yeah, so those were the courses. Yeah. Oh, I did talk about what I made in the vegan health bundle as well, because um yeah, I'm actually quite excited because there was like I tried out. Okay, so Dr. Furman has an ebook. I think like was it some 2020 I think it's like a 20-day plan for transformation. So I tried out his mango oatmeal recipe for my boyfriend, and he liked that. And I also, like I mentioned, I made Elspeth's recipe. Oh, Kathy has her new ebook on like the starch solution, and I also made one of her. I made a black eyed peas recipe there, and then Ivy Dessa also got. She has a ebook on real food for real transformation. So I made her power breakfast. Yeah. Oh, Chef Julia, she has the her Japanese cookbook too. I think plant-based Japanese too. And I really like Japanese food, so I made her shiitake mushroom steel cut oats. Yeah, and I've also made, the wraps from Lisa's books. I made the tacos from her raw vegan tacos book. I actually tried out every one of her taco recipes in that ebook, and it was so good. Yeah.
That's so good. That's so neat how you try other people's things. I really love that about you. You really do go through the bundle.
Yeah, because it's very inspirational and it's such a good chance to learn. Yeah, it's a really good opportunity to learn from everybody else. And it's also like it's always gives me inspiration, gives me new ideas as well, because you're like, oh, I didn't think of using that, or why didn't I make that? And then I take it and give it my own twist and make it my own, or just yeah, and I just really enjoyed yeah, trying out other people's recipes, because then I don't have to like rack my brain to come up with new ones.
That's really cool. So do you teach in person in Malaysia, or do you teach? I mean, I know that your courses are delivered as classes, but they're pre-recorded. Do you do anything live?
Yeah. I used to teach before the lockdowns. I used to teach in cooking studios, in yoga, yoga studios, in vegan cafes, and even at my own place, in-person workshops and also private classes. I used to do that. But because of the lockdowns, I had to move online, and I created, like I said, 27 online courses and 6 ebooks. I this year I've been getting requests again to teach in person. I haven't It's just that my schedule is packed right now with so many bundles from now until like July. So I haven't actually said yes to any of them. But I do from time to time, like if they have vegan festivals over here in Malaysia, I do like, live in-person cooking demos. So like tomorrow I will be on stage at the Veg Fest at New Central at 1 p.m. So if anyone's in Malaysia, you can come over to for my demo. I'm going to show you how to make raw vegan mushroom bulgogi. So that's a Korean recipe, and that's free. So you can come over. So yeah, I don't know. I might start teaching. I'm still wondering whether I want to teach in person, because it's just that then you have to like lug all your equipment somewhere. You have to lug all your food and all that. So that's the only thing. It's just like I think it's just a lot more effort. But I do miss meeting people in person, and also just having people try the food, and also just coach them in person. So I do miss that actually. So who knows, I might do that in 2024, maybe the second half of the year.
Wow. So I have a question from you in the chat.
Sure.
And the first one is, do you base your desserts on fruit? Asks Ron. Or do you base them on something else?
So when it comes to raw vegan food, we use vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. So that's what I usually use. Yeah, so it's fruits and a bit of nuts and seeds, but I have a lot of requests of people asking for nut-free desserts. So I do make a lot of nut-free desserts as well. I mean, like this one is nut-free as well. So this one is basically coconut milk. I mean, coconut is not considered a nut, I guess. Most people don't. And then it's not, yeah, and then I guess it's not tree nut. So and then there's pandan leaf powder, salt, pomegranate, jackfruit is a fruit, pomegranate is fruit, young coconut meat, ice date powder, yeah. So most of the desserts in my course, which is in the bundle this time, a lot of them is more fruit based. Yeah.
That's cool. And Annie says, what is your most popular recipe?
What is my most popular recipe? I wonder. I know like when I first made raw vegan kimchi, that was very popular.
Mhm.
Yeah, and people still make that. And then yeah, yeah. I think when it comes to desserts, I think people just like simple things, when it comes like, raw vegan brownies because it's just like cacao powder and walnuts and things like that. Yeah. I'm trying to think like, oh, I think I know. Um, Raw vegan mooncakes. I don't think let me see if I have a picture. I have a picture here. That's like I have a course on that, and that's one of my most popular ones. And I do see a lot of people, I see people, that particular recipe, people will make and post online and tag me. So I have a superfoods mooncake here. Yeah. So the Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated, um, in it's usually August or September, depending on the lunar year calendar. Yeah, I think it's the 8th month of the lunar year calendar, if I'm not mistaken. And then part of the celebration is to serve moon cakes. So we have because I'm of Chinese descent, so we celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival here. I think in Thailand it's also celebrated, in Vietnam it's also celebrated. And we do make mooncakes. So this recipe, the mooncake recipe, is very popular. I know like Kelly Ma, who is in this vegan health bundle, she has a smoothies ebook. She has made a lot of my mooncakes, and then after learning how to make it, she's also made her own, and she's given her own twist on it as well. So yeah, that's cool. And I know a lot of people from the US, from Canada, from Hong Kong, from Singapore, and obviously from Malaysia have made my mooncakes. Yeah. I guess the other thing that is also quite popular is tempeh, on how to make tempeh from scratch. So tempeh is okay, so it's not technically raw because you actually have to boil the beans to make it into tempeh, but it is fermented. So we consider it as, me and Lisa, we consider that as living foods. And we both feel that it has a place in raw foods because it's fermented and it's living and it's alive. So that's the other thing that is very popular on how to make tempeh from scratch. Because I also show you how to make tempeh without using soybeans, because a lot of people want to go soy free, or they have to go soy free because they're allergic to soy. So you can also use other beans. I've used chickpeas, I've used mung beans, I've used azuki beans to make tempeh as well. So yeah, that's the other one that is popular. So yeah, mooncakes and tempeh.
Oh, but it's always made out of a bean, right? Because I've seen, well, not tempeh made out of something else, but here they have something for people that can't have tofu because they're allergic to soy. They have hemp fu and pump fu, so it's made out of hemp seeds and pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seed. Yes, I've heard of that. And I think when I went to US, I saw that as well. I have actually tried making uh pumpkin seed tofu as well. So I've made that, and I've made that raw. Yeah, but it's a bit of a process, so I don't really bother to make that. But I do have a recipe on my YouTube channel actually on how I made raw vegan pumpkin tofu, or pum fu, whatever people call it.
That
Yeah.
is so cool that it seems like you pretty much make everything from scratch, don't you?
I do, and it's funny because every time I go out and I eat out, and so I'm high raw. So when I eat out, I eat cooked food, and every time I eat a dish that I really like, I turn to my boyfriend. I go like, "Oh, I could make this raw," and he goes like, "Yeah, yeah, you could make everything raw."
You
I'll be
really
like,
can. So you've answered this before on the show, but Olga might not have seen some of your previous appearances. What does Chef Yin usually eat in a day?
okay. So I go through phases. Yeah. So right now my phase is okay. For breakfast, I usually just have fruit. And but now I started adding vegetables as well. I've been inspired by you, Chef AJ, because you said like have greens with every meal. So now I have like 150 grams. I don't know about how much is that in ounces, but I usually have like 150 grams of
Wait,
lettuce.
454 grams is a pound. So 150
Yes.
would be a third of a pound, which would be like about 5.5 ounces, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Because I'm trying to get 1 pound of greens in. and when it's raw, it's quite a lot to get in. I think when it's
Yes,
cooked, it's much
yes.
easier. So when it's raw, it's harder. So what I do these days is like I have 150 grams in of greens in the morning for breakfast, and then 300 grams of greens for my lunch. So morning I breakfast I just usually just have a fruit, and it's usually a banana and lettuce because I just like that combination. And sometimes I make a green smoothie as well. And then I add in my superfoods and my chia seeds. It really depends. Yeah. So that's my breakfast. For my lunch, I used to always make a big, huge, giant salad. So yeah, that's where all my the rest of my leafy greens are in, and then I put in, my fermented foods. Sometimes I put in my tempeh, and then I put in my sprouts. Oh, I don't have my sprouts with me right now. I moved them away, but I put in sprouts as well. But recently I have, because I kind of hurt my wrist, so I need to make more simple recipes while I'm resting my wrist. So I've just been making like green smoothies. I mean making smoothie bowls for my lunch. So yeah, I blend up my 300 grams of Asian greens. I usually put in like bok choy and just like dark leafy greens, and water and maybe some bananas or some kind of fruit. And then I top it with my sprouts and my sprouts and my fermented fruits, and sometimes my goji berries and my wakame for my minerals. And then I eat it as a smoothie bowl so that I'm actually chewing. So I have, so it aids with the digestion and I'm not just gulping down my smoothie. So I have that and I try to focus and chew. But I'm usually watching some, raw vegan YouTube video. I'm watching Chef AJ's video. So that's what I have for my lunch. And then for dinner, I have a fruit. I know that most raw foodies would they recommend to have the salad as a dinner, but I think by the end of the day, I don't actually have the energy to make a salad because I usually wake up at 5:30. So and I have my dinner at 5:30 because I eat between 10 to 5 because I do the time restricted eating. And so I by 5:30 I just like cut up some fruit to eat. So I used to do mono meals. But now I'm kind of, so I used to have like a big huge papaya for dinner, or like, a big huge pineapple, or like, five mangoes, like three, four, five mangoes. But these days I'm doing like a mixture. So I will have like a mixture of fruit. Like yesterday I had some oranges, I had some mangoes, I had jackfruit, and I had cempedak for dinner. And then in between, if I do feel hungry, I usually do actually, because by the time I have my lunch around 12:31, and then around 4 I'm usually a bit hungry, so I usually have some fruit as well. So it's very fruit based. I think it's like fruit for breakfast with some greens, and then lunch is green smoothie, so I get all my greens in, and my sprouts and my fermented foods and my seaweed in as well. Yeah, I'm just thinking of nutrients. And then for snacks I have fruit, and then for dinner that's what I usually have, unless I'm recipe testing and recipe developing. Then I have something more fancy, or I'm trying out, Lisa's wraps or Lisa's tacos or Chris Kendall's pizzas, yeah, that kind of thing. But in a normal day, that is what I have. That's what I eat in the day. That's what I normally do.
Nice. But when you do go out like to a restaurant or maybe other people's house, you're not afraid to have cooked food.
No, I'm not. So I consider myself as high raw. The other thing is because in Malaysia there's no raw food restaurants around, so it's like, and the concept of raw vegan is still, I think people don't really get it because that there used to be, I think in 2014, 2015, there used to be, I know at least two restaurants who actually had a raw menu on their, yeah, like a raw section on their menu, because I think both of them, took the raw vegan courses as well, in Bali and elsewhere. But I think it just didn't pick up here in Malaysia. So I mean, even veganism only in the past 2, 3 years it's become more popular in the city of Kuala Lumpur. I think once you get out of the city again, it's harder. People don't understand what vegan is all about. I mean, even until now, people still think vegan and vegetarian is the same, right? But it's not. So yeah, people don't understand what it is. So so for you to expect them to understand what veganism is, and then it's already difficult, for you to expect them to do what raw vegan is even more difficult. But I am going to be hosting a raw food worldwide meetup a week from now on Sunday, on the 9th of March. So I have like 11 people saying they're coming, and then another 12 people that are interested. So let's see how that goes. I mean, I do go out there and, champion the raw food movement over here in Malaysia. So if it's raw, people would associate it with me. Yeah. Because, yeah.
Annie would like to know, what do you mean by mono meal?
Okay, so when you say a mono meal, this is referring to like when it's raw vegan. People just basically, you eat a fruit, just one fruit, until you're full. And the idea is because you're only eating one fruit, your body can digest it much better, because it's not, trying to digest all sorts of different kinds of fruits all at the same time. So I think people were talking about, like, way back in the days when, I guess you were cavemen and you kind of roam the jungles, and then you see, oh, it's the jackfruit tree, and oh, this jackfruit is ripe. And you just like eat, you see that, and that's what you eat, right? And then because you don't have access to grocery stores and supermarkets and all that, where you can buy everything, is just like whatever that is ripe and that is in abundance, then that's what you eat. So that's what some people do. And like I said, so that's why, if my mono meal of mangoes would just be like I said, like maybe 5 mangoes. For usually I eat four, I think. Yeah, basically you eat the same fruit until yeah, until you're full.
Nice. Did you grow up, what did you grow up eating traditionally?
Traditionally, we had, so for breakfast, it's usually a slice of bread. It's usually bread and butter, and or peanut butter, or or what Malaysian it's called kaya, but it's kind of like a coconut jam spread. It's made with eggs and pandan leaves and a lot of sugar. So that would be breakfast. And then for lunch and dinner, it'll just be like typical, because like I said, I'm Chinese, from Chinese descent. So it's usually rice and a soup and, a meat or a fish. Yeah, but I never really like eating meat. Yeah, I remember like not really liking that. So it's still kind of like fairly balanced, I suppose, compared to the standard American diet. Yeah, so it's always like we used to eat a lot of white rice, and then my dad had a health scare, so we switched to brown rice. So yeah, that's why we ate like a rice. But my parents always made sure we had some vegetables as well. So we've always loved vegetables. And I remember we would also eat some kind of like raw, because my mom would always cut up some raw cucumbers and some raw carrots, some celery sticks, and raw tomatoes. So the idea of having something raw wasn't foreign to me, but the idea of having everything raw as an entire dish, that was a bit weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever miss just having rice every day? I love rice. I think of it as such a comfort food.
Okay, so if I don't put the rice in front of me, I don't miss it. I think I don't miss it when it's not in front of me. So, like you say, you have it with you, then you eat it. But if it's not in front of me, I'm fine. I don't miss it. But because I do eat out like maybe twice a week, or when I travel, then I eat out quite a bit. So when I travel, what I do is I make my breakfast is raw and my dinner is raw. So I have my fruit and my fruit. And then and then my lunch I cook. So I mean I eat out, then there's cooked food. Do I miss the rice? Okay, see, this is what happens. When I eat rice, I enjoy it. But then the next day I get a bit constipated. And
Really?
that's when I go like, yeah, yeah, it's very, very obvious, There are sometimes I'm like, okay, why do I feel constipated? I'm like, oh, all right. I had cooked food yesterday, that's why. Because when I have like yeah, so like I said, I usually just like limit myself to two cooked meals a week. So the like 5 days in a week, like, I clear really easily. And then the 2 days I'm like, oh, what is it? So So yeah, that was what happened. So I enjoy eating the rice, but I don't like the results.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Whenever I have a tummy ache, the only thing that helps me and soothes it is white rice. So I just love it. I shouldn't.
Oh,
It's just
you
so
have an excuse to eat it.
yeah. Well, I eat it anyway. I know I'm not perfect as people think. Is my very favorite of all rices is white rice or basmati rice or sushi rice. You make sushi, right? You can make it both raw and cooked vegan.
Yes, yes, yes. I do make sushi and yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, sushi rice is really nice. If you, in fact, have you tried the Taiwanese rice? I remember when I've been to Taiwan twice, and when I had the rice there, I was like, wow, why does the rice taste so good? And I think they told me it's because of the waters from the mountains, I think. Yeah, that they grow the rice in, that's why it makes it taste like really, really good, and it's such a nice texture as well.
Nice. Well, Yin, it's always great to see you guys. If you want to support Yin and get the bundle from her, I've been posting the link both in the chat and the show notes. That's right below the video. Just click more. The bundle's only available for 10 days. And I promise you, you will love it. It's worth over $8,000. There's like, I think 2,000 recipes in there, not to mention all the video courses. We keep forgetting to talk about all the workout courses and the yoga courses and the fascia flow. So thank you so much always for being a contributor, Yin.
All right, thank you so much, Chef AJ. It was a lot of fun to be on this show. And thanks everyone
Absolutely.
for watching as well.
Yeah, you're the only one I stay up late for because I know you're.
Oh,
But I may go live one more time today to actually go through the bundle for people. So maybe I will, guys. So come back in. What time is it? Maybe I'll just do it right now after I say goodbye to Yin. Get the bundle, guys. You will be very happy you did. Take care, Yin. Bye-bye.
all right, bye, Chef AJ. Bye, everyone. Get the bundle. Click the link in my
Yep.
bio button.
Right now, operators are standing by. Take care.